Hey guys, in today's video we're doing incredibly simple and effective setups on the Vyse on Ascent, so you guys can watch this video and instantly jump in your ranked games and feel that you know what you're doing on the newest agent. So no bullshit, let's just go straight up to the content. Alright, let's start with the simplest and most annoying setups for B. This is gonna be a very simple setup, a very effective one. So you're gonna stand in this corner over here. You're gonna look into this direction. Very important. Why? Because you're gonna put the wall on this small thing on this pole. And I found this to be the consistent lineup. So you crouch and you put the crosser like this. Now once you put it like that, it's gonna be in our desired spot because it's gonna be outside of B main, deep enough on side that it's not being triggered by someone just jump peeking, because the player needs to cross the entire line. With this, we put the phones behind it, maybe here, doesn't matter much because the range is so huge, so it's up to you if you want to have closer or not. The range is like, is literally insane how big the range is, right? So once you activate that, you see that the range is just good either way. And remember that the distance that those utility pieces are being detected from is 4 meters. So it's 4 meters for the wall, 4 meters for the phones, but it's 10 meters for the flash. So we're gonna put the flash a little bit further down so it doesn't get exposed to someone peeking from main. Now when someone peeks from main,
caution here,
he's gonna not see the wall when he's standing like this. He needs to get closer like this to actually see the wall, but it's not destructible, so you don't have to worry. And also typically there's a smoke here, so they will not see the wall. They might hear it, but they don't know exactly where it is. So to trigger the wall, they need to actually commit and be in dangerous position. That's why this is gonna follow the logic on all of our setups, or at least majority of it. So now when we have those two things set up, we need to think about where do we put our flash. But we put our flash in a position where it goes hand in hand with our position we're going to be playing. So I'm going to have few flashes for this particular setup. One flash here. Unorthodox position, I know. So why here? Because one, it's going to flash every single player standing in main over here. Two, it's going to flash the jet player who's dashing towards here. As you can see, you can put it even a little bit lower to make sure that this player, like over here, is gonna get flashed. So we're gonna put it even lower over here, like this. And now this is gonna be consistently flashing even if someone is pushed more forward towards switch right here. Of course, at some point it's not gonna flash him, but we want to avoid the position where this is smoked off. You can also put it to achieve the similar effect on this small thing over here. So it's a little bit more pushed out. But the point is, what I'm trying to say here, if we put this flash over here, we can play on stairs, not be affected by the flash, and be ready to fight. Because Vyse gun never hides when you activate the flash. So with this setup over here, with those 3 pieces of utility, typically how you play is you hold this angle, because, you know, you still should be able to hit them. You don't have to wait for the wall. You should you hide. You wait for the wall to activate, which means they commit. You flash, activate the phones, and you swing. Because now the players are isolated. So you have the setup and you can play off it. Now, you can also put the phones over here to make sure that you affect the players who are committing to site. So you have a setup here and setup here. And now we play on stairs. We hold the angle. We shoot one bullet, we hide, we wait for the wall gets triggered, we flash, we activate both, and we go in. This is typically how you do. You don't want to activate those typically before you flash. It's easier the other way around because you affect the players more. And then they will they're gonna be very confused what's happening when they're flashed, and they will go into the molly and deal damage. Now, if we want to play in a different position, we'll change the position of the flash. Now, I want to play in this position over here. So I use a very similar flash, but I put it way higher. I jump and put it way higher here. Why? Because now I can play here and hide and camp. I'm not gonna hold this angle typically, but when the wall gets popped, I flash and I don't affect myself. But I do affect the players in B main. So when this is triggered, I'm gonna definitely set up a second phones over here, because when this gets popped, it doesn't affect me when I'm standing in this corner. So typically it's gonna look like this. Let me replay this. Wall gets popped. I flash first. I do this and I swing. And I try to kill people. Unless, of course, there's already a player in front of me. Because there's a chance for that as well. So this is important to make sure that you flash first. Because you affect the player who is going through the wall with your flash first. And it's very hard for them to react to it. To have a little bit of a variation of how we want to play, we can put the wall in a second position, which is going to be here. We're going to crouch again. We're going to aim on those logs over here. It's very weird lineup because the wall ends up in a different spot than what you're aiming at. As you can see here, I'm aiming at the logs, but the wall is actually going here, as you can see. But the wall is also angled, and it has a similar purpose like this wall, but this one baits people into going into logs. When you can set up a trap with utility, maybe combo that with a race or something, but you can just also just put, again, the same kind of thorns, and you can hide in this corner and literally wait till the wall goes down, because most likely the wall goes up, you flash, you kill a player who wanted to get out of the wall is up. Another player, when you pop this, is probably gonna tell you that he's hiding here. He's gonna make noise by going into this corner, and once the wall goes down, you can pre-fire this and kill a player who's hiding in logs. Another setup that I like doing on this side is playing from the actual backside over here. This is an incredibly difficult position to play from, but you can benefit from it. You have seen so many players just actually clutch it from this position in VCT, because the opponents have to really sync up to actually make sure that they can trade well from this position. Now, what I like doing is something very nasty. So we're gonna put the wall over here like this. It's triggering once goes down. When someone drops down, it triggers the wall, right? But also, you can put a flash over here on this side of the wall to make sure to affect the lane players. Very important to note, by the way, the foliage affects the placement of the flash, but also affects the actual flash. So when you put it like that, I can dodge the flash, because the foliage, so the flowers over here, the leaves are covering the flash. The problem is that this is only visible on high detail and not low detail. So I don't know if Riot will change it, but that's a thing. So if you want to put a flash, you can check like high details in customs and then play low details in the game if that's something that you like. But typically I just put the flash over here, and now you can play like first in this position, and when the players are going in on side, they execute. I flash and swing, and then I fall back and I go towards the backside. Now from here, I need also a fawn setup. The fawns are going in this position. You see those 3 rocks here? We put it next to it like this. So why like this? So now when the players are going to side, I have the ability to flash again, or maybe flash for the first time, depending how I played. But when they're pushing lane, I can flash, pop them fawns, and now swing out and kill those people over here, but not being affected by the fawns. But someone who jumps down is gonna be affected by the fawns, because all of this is in range. But I can swing out from here and not be in the effect zone of the fawns. Another bonus that you can do from on the B side is you can stand in the middle of the stairs if you didn't use the second fawns on your side, right? Because sometimes I like just using one fawns over here, and then the second one I use improvised somewhere during the execute, or if they're going to A, I just stand on the middle of the stairs anywhere here, and then I look at the edge of this roof over here, and I jump throw like this. This will land on the A side in a way that you can pop and help the player on A just defend the side. So it can always be useful on both sides. I have also some really incredible flashes for Ascent B main, but I think they're gonna get patched. I don't know if we'll include it, but they will probably get patched. Typically, you can't put the flower through the wall or like anywhere where the barrier is up. See, look, like you can put the barrier on the barrier over here, but I found places where you can. So you stand over here on this line, equip the rose, and now you're able to put it here on this spot. And I think this is giga broken, because what you can do, you can put the flash here pre-round, so opponents will not know that the flash is here, and now you're gonna be able to flash into B main. You can do the same on this position over here, just go closer a little bit, and you can do the same over here, like this. Both of those positions are absolutely incredibly broken. So what you want to do with this is essentially you put the flash over here, pre-barrier, like this, and now, when the opponents are going into the B main, you can coordinate a push and instantly flash everyone who is in this spot, even the player over here. Like, there's nowhere you can hide. And I don't think you will have the reaction time to actually turn around from it, because there's no signal. There's no placement. It's literally just there. So it's incredibly fast. You can play with a duo who's like a jet, dashes forward towards here, dash here, flash, you swing out, and you get multiple kills. Like, I think this is incredibly broken. And you can do the same with the flash over here. So you put it like this before the barrier drops, and now you're able to play with this kind of flash that affects the players who are a little bit further down in B main, right? So this is incredibly powerful. So you can use one time a flash over here, then the second time use a flash over there. And if you want to use another one, then I recommend putting the flash in this position, but you need to go on the platform and now put the flash over here. And with this flash right here, you can play for B main, but just be aware that once you flash this, you only check this position and you go back. The reason for that is this flash only affects those players over here, doesn't affect the player standing here, doesn't affect the player standing here, right? So you want to check this exact position where I'm standing right now with this flash. So you flash, pre-fire this position, and you go back. That's essentially it. But definitely abuse this flash on the window over here as long as you can, because it's incredibly broken. And now let's go to the A side. So when it comes to the actual fawns, it's very actually easy to set them up, because one fawn, you're gonna put all those 3 rocks. Those are the only 3 rocks that create like a triangle in straight line over here, one here, and the other one, you just put, like, when the cable has this kind of, like, I don't know how to call it, like small thing over here, right? You just put next to it like this. Now when you activate both of them, they cover essentially everything. So this is like the typical coverage of your fawns of this side. They're very effective and insanely powerful when people are pushing. Now when it comes to the wall, I typically do something that is called a progression of the distance, I would say. I mean, typically called. Probably anyone never called it like that, but I'm gonna show it what I mean. So I do a progression of rounds, and I change the wall. I start with a wall that is almost straight in front of the entrance, but still has a small gap. So as you can see, I'm putting it on the line over here like this. So the wall is covering the entire entrance, but it's not easy to trigger because you have to cross this line. You have to be out here and go back to activate the wall. So this is the first one that I use in the first round, right? And then I have, of course, this over here and this over here. And the flash, we're going to talk a lot of it in a moment, because that depends again on your position. But this is the first wall that I do. And just make sure that when your teammates are smoking, please, for the love of God, tell them that the smoke should end on this line. You don't want the smoke to be extended like here, because then the players in the smoke can actually see the wall and trigger it because they're covered by the smoke. So the smokes have to be pushed a little bit, and if possible, the smokes should not cross this line, right? Because then the players are in the smoke and they don't see the wall exactly where it is, and they need to commit out of the smoke to trigger it. So that's the first one. Why is it important that it's in this position? Because the second one is gonna be more in the back. So we're gonna do it like this. This is the second round or the third round or the fourth round. After I use this wall and the opponents know that this is the wall that I use, I use a different one that is like this. The reason for that is to make sure that the players who knew that the wall is pretty close might actually go here to check if the wall is here and will not see it because that changed it. And now this one is a little bit different than the previous one. So they also are uneasy to play because they don't know exactly how the wall is going to be looking like. What is even more important, you can do a little bit different like walls almost every round. Look at this. Now I can do a wall like this. And all of them have a little bit of a different shape and change the way that you play around them. Those are my three favorite walls on the A side that I essentially almost use every round when I'm defending A side. All of them require commitment of the opponents to go to site, and all of them you play a little bit differently with. This one typically just catches one player going to site, and the other players are just still stuck in this area. The other ones allow you to get a second kill after you kill the player that went to site. So the reason for that is when those walls are popped, you have a small gap right here that people like to go into because they think they're safe. And that's the moment when you pre-fire, just like in the logs on the B side, you can pre-fire this angle because there's like 99% chances that someone will be standing there because they see empty space, they will go into it. They're gonna get baited to go into that position. Now, the most important aspect of this entire setup is of course the flash. And now the flash is important to understand how do you want to play with the flash. If I'm gonna play from dice, I need a flash that affects not only every single position over here, but also potentially the players who are standing over here in this position. So when I create the flash, I check this perspective of a player, and now I know that the flash needs to be put anywhere over here. And now you have essentially whatever you want to do. You can put it over here. You can put it over here like this. You jump up and put it over here. Because now you can affect also the players that are coming on site like this, right? It's still over the box over here. You can be on heaven and put it even higher. You can put it like over here. And it still affects the player that is standing here, right? And it affects the player who is going over here. Oh, actually, never mind. I put it too high because of the flower pot, who is, by the way, not visible on lower details. So we want to put it on the flower pot actually like this. See, even during my guide that I'm recording, I'm still learning. So we're gonna have it here, which affects the player going on site. Remember, details will actually change how this looks. See? It looks way different, and those leaves and flowers actually affect the flash. So this is one of the flashes that I can use when I'm playing from dice. And again, remember the order. When the wall goes up, you flash first, you activate the phones, and you swing, and you try to kill the player who is on site. You're gonna get the info if someone is on site because the flash gets the confirmation if someone is on site. If the bonk goes, the wall is popped, the gong goes away, there's probably someone on site, and now you have to clear that guy. You have 8 seconds when the wall is up to kill the one person that is on site. It's incredibly important that you do that. That's your task. If you fail at that, then unfortunately your defense was not successful. Now remember what I said. You can put this flash over here. You can put the flash over here. You can put the flash even on this box over here. Like this. It's still fine position. But you just have to remember, but now that the display over here is not affected. So always check what is the perspective of the flash that you want to set up during the defense. If I want to play from a different position, for example, from Jenny, then I want to put the flash in a different spot. I will go on dice over here, and I, example, put the flash over here. So now I'm able to swing out and affect everyone in main and everyone on site. The problem is that this flash most likely might not flash a person who is going to Jenny. And if I want to fix that, I'm putting the flash in a different position, which means I'm going to put the flash over here. So I'm going to go again on top of dice, and I'm putting the flash very high up over here. And now this typically gets almost every player who is going into Jenny, apart from the players who are hagging Jenny, right? Like this. But everyone else gets essentially flashed. And now I can play with this flash and try to get kills when they go to side from this position. Now, also, in case you didn't set up 2 phones on the side here, and you're only gonna set up 1, then I'm gonna recommend just putting 1 that is in between them, essentially, right? So instead of having 1 here and 1 here, we put 1 over here on this spot. Now this affects pretty much, like, not a lot, but it's still okay. And you can keep the second phones for help on the B side if you feel like you need it, right? So what you do is you stand in the corner over here and you have 2 lineups. One, you're gonna pay attention to this line over here, like this, and you put that line from the HUD on those 2 steel plates, as you can see here. The edge of the line on those 2 steel plates, right here, like this. No jump throw, just normal throw. That goes to side over here. You use it, you help the players to make sure that they don't get pushed or just distract them when they're pushing actually to side. Second lineup, exactly from the same position, but it's gonna be a jump throw. So you're gonna look at this pipe, whatever, use the same line that we used for the other lineup, put it like this. Like this. You can see the connection between the wall over here and the pipe. And now you jump throw. But when you jump throw, just be aware that you could be seen from A main. So just be aware. This lands over here. Or like, you can move this to your left to land on the lane, but this one actually lands on the roof, which makes it harder to destroy. And now it affects lane and the player also in the corner over here in case they're already on site.